Hello, everyone. Hello. If you are live, if you could drop us a little comment to let us know that you are there and that you can hear us and that we can see your comments, that would be helpful. And if you don't know me, my name is Sophie Van Tigelen and I'm an online course strategist. I focus on helping women solopreneurs build and launch successful online courses. And my guest today is Natacha a video sorceress. Hello.
Hi, Sophie. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us live or on the replay. We're always happy to continue the conversation and have it live.
Thank you so much for being there. You're my sidekick. Everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah. We stuck together. Like my spouse would say, like glue on a pancake, which was a brain fart day when it happened. But yeah, we're stuck.
All right, so today's topic actually is dear to my heart because I know that when done correctly, webinars are the perfect lead generation / conversion event because they have worked really well for me in my business in the past and I recommend them to my clients. So my co-host, Natacha, is bringing her knowledge of live training and online entrepreneurship to the discussion today, because she has a unique perspective on webinars and more generally live video events, right? So we are going to talk about using webinars to sell your course, but it also does encompass webinars, workshop, live event, training, whatever word you use, right?
The power of live video, basically.
Exactly. So actually, people have made a living teaching how to build and conduct a successful conversion webinars, like big names such as Amy Porterfield, Russell Branson, and Jeff Walker. So we are not going to try and compete or replicate their teachings here in this training. What we are going to do is to share our insight as small solopreneurs without a big team or a big budget, on how we have been using webinars to sell our offers in the past, right? And the tips are going to be practical and suitable for one-person team businesses. Are you ready for this, Natacha?
Oh, you know me, it's like I get to talk about video and I get to talk about live video, which is often the one part of video people don't talk about, because just to clear out a common misconception for starter is that when people are just like, oh, I need to do video during the headlight stage, oh my, I don't want that, is that many people associate creating videos in any kind in their business with pre-recorded video, the traditional YouTube video or even short pre-recorded video. However, and I'm just like, many people don't even think that live video is valid, and I'm just like, please, you can, and for those who may know me, I love repurposing video. And yes, a cat just passed in front of me. And many people also have this issue of thinking they can only repurpose long pre-recorded video, but you and I repurpose and create short video from even our lives. Mm-hmm. So it's like live video is video as much as pre-recorded is video. And I think that's something also we need to talk more about in the first place. And that then does include live streams, webinar, events like we're doing now, workshops.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. We'll come back to this after. So the first thing I would like to talk about is why actually are webinars such powerful tools to sell your online course or any other offer, right, that you have. If you are a coach, you offer services and you are selling a pre-packaged service, it works too. And it's because, so you know that building relationships and trust with your audience is the key to selling your product online nowadays, right? You have to be known and inspire trust before people will actually buy something from you. So you do this every day when you post on social media. You become familiar with people, you become top of mind around a specific topic. But, and I've discovered this last year on LinkedIn, posting free content on social media is not enough to bring you paying clients. At some point, you have to convert your audience into paying customers. What do you think of this, Natacha? Would you say the same?
I would say the same to the most part. I think that, of course, social media, is going to play a part. And for example, even, video can be reused on social media. But I think social media is part of the equation. And for me, you need to have different, I mean, we talk about different touch points, before somebody is going to buy from you, before somebody is going to convert. But for me, it's also the difference of content, because to a degree, even what we're doing right now is free content, but it's a different type of providing value, because the social media, it's, as we say these days, it's the scroll, it's the scroll, and again, the scroll. And it can be easy to just, scroll by and not have the time or not have the energy of whatever. So you're still top of mind, you may be top of mind, but people may or may not engage. But the moment they decide to even show up for, your webinar, however shape or form it takes, it's a micro, yes, it's a macro, going one step further, getting into another touch point with you. And I think this is where it's not just, the idea of free content is not enough, or free content on social media. Is like mixing the different types of touch points, different type of content, even if we're going this way.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you are making. And again, so I did not mean to say that, stop posting, like it's needed, but I believe it's not enough. And why actually it's good to take people on a journey in these live trainings, in a webinar or a live event like this one, is because it taps into the psychological principle of commitment and consistency, right? So it is a fact that when you take a small step, a small action towards achieving a goal, you are more susceptible after to take more action. You will want to take more action to reach that goal. So in my case, for example, I help people build and launch online courses. So if people, when someone comes on a webinar to hear me talk about how to build an online course, they automatically, as soon as they get on the webinar, they become hot leads for me, because I know that they are interested in what I'm saying, that they have a need, and that they are more susceptible than any other audience to reach out to me, to get into a conversation, and ultimately to convert into a paying customers. So I don't know if you have heard about this before, but it's the principle of commitment and consistency. So I just wanted to clear that up.
It's a really good point. And yeah, I mean, that ties, with what I was saying of, about the touch points and the micro yeses. It's like, I'm not going to tell you either, please don't post on social media anymore. No, it's just really like, it goes back to how I talked, sometimes about content being a landscape as well, being even beyond the forest. It's just like, it's the different component. And the more we can get people in our audience to take this micro action towards their goals and towards, interacting with us, this is really going to make a big impact down the line.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I was just checking the comments. I remember that you, the audience, can ask us questions. So, hey, all, it's Virginia. Great to be here. Nice to see you. All right. So next,
she told me she would jump on.
Nice. All right. So the next question is, what should you teach inside a webinar? How much information should you provide? So I and Natacha, we are going to share our preferences when it comes to webinar content, what has been working for us. But first, I have a question for you, the audience. And it is, what do you like to see inside a webinar? Because if you have been a solopreneur for a while or an online entrepreneur here on LinkedIn, you have been on webinars, you have been on live events. So you know what you like. So I would be interested if you can drop us a line. So to continue, what I like to see and to provide inside a webinar, first, I like to keep them short, like around 20 minutes of teaching, and then having an open Q&A after so that people can ask their question on the spot. And I also like to prepare a little slide deck presentation because, talking, it's one thing, listening to me, it's one thing, but some people need a visual support, right? Because we are all learning information and processing information differently. So I like to have a slide deck for a visual support. I also like to give people a quick win, teach them a little something. I know that, the word out there is that you should only teach the what and the why, not the how, because the how is where you get paid for it, right? But I still think that it's great to give like a little cookie, a little something, a quick win on how to do something. And at the same time, if you can manage it, create the need for more. So this is a principle, a concept that comes back a lot in my business is when you create something at any point in your funnel, handling and connecting with people, is you give something and you try to give the need for more as well, so that they continue to work with you. So what's your take on this, Natasha?
I have about the same take. I will say that sometimes, depending on the topic, I'm comfortable until, and that depends how the Q&A works, because sometimes, if you sometimes I do break the Q&A during the workshop, like between sections or something like that. So it's kind of like, I would say that the whole thing should be within 30 minutes, and then exactly how you break your Q&A, depending on the type of audience, the type of, workshop you're doing. But overall, doing it within 30 minutes, I mean, we all are busy,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and really having that quick win also prove that you as the coach, as the expert, the strategist, however, it's like you are not dilly dying, you can, it's not about going to the jugular, as violent as it sounds. It's just like, hey, no, I can be clear, I can provide you something, it's just like you can share, people will experience the type of teacher or coach, consultant you are, with this workshop and your teaching style. But it's also like giving that win is part of the teaching style. It's like, oh, I don't have to, I'm not going to just fall asleep for 2 hours while they're just droning on before I eventually get something out of it. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, totally agree with you. I knew that we were on the same page. All right, so the next question is, what's the pitching etiquette inside a webinar? So conversion is important, okay, but I think that not at the price of pissing people off.
Please no.
If I may say this. So I make no mystery about this. I despise long pitches inside webinars. And actually, as soon as I realize that the host is going to start and go on and on and on with a long pitch, I drop off the call. So I would like to know, what's your take on this, Natasha, and you also, the audience. How do you feel about pitches inside webinars? Let us know in the comments.
I hate long pitches, and you see them coming from a mile. And what annoys me is like, I hate that no matter if you're brand new or when you're a big name. When you see like so many of these big name people be like, oh, I'm running a webinar where I'm sharing so much share value. And you're like, it's 1 hour at minimum. And for 40 minutes, I'm going to listen to you pitch for your thousands worth option. And I'm just like, I can go to your website.
Yeah, it's just too long. Maybe they used to be the thing 5 years ago, 8 years ago, when
I still hated them even back then.
Yes, we didn't know better. Now we know better.
Yeah, and it's also like, if you're going to pitch, I mean, if you're going to like openly, I mean, you can share at the end. I mean, if it's at the end, I also like when it's at the end and you're not starting with a freaking pitch, because it's like, okay, give the cookie, and while the people are going to be munching and savoring the cookie, then you can say, oh, by the way, XYZ, worst case scenario, they want to drop, they drop. But it's at least you've led with value before you're just like, hey, by the way. It's also, we're talking about warm leads. It's like they may be more likely to listen to your like 2 to 5 minute spiel. If you can keep it under 2 minutes, that's perfect. I personally believe that 2 minutes is enough. And yeah, you've warmed up the leads, they're eating the cookies, they're more likely to stay for you to, spill the tea.
Absolutely. So personally, I have never bought an offer at the end of a webinar. I need more time to examine the pros and cons and make sure it's the right fit for me, right? So those urgency and scarcity tactics, like, special bonus only available if you buy in the next 5 minutes, like, they just don't work on me. On the contrary, like I tend to lose the trust, lose, the fragile bond that exists
Mm-hmm.
for between me and the webinar host. So when I host a webinar, I'm very conscious of creating an enriching experience for the attendees, and I don't do to them what I don't like other people to do to myself. So this means no long pitch. But
Same.
but but you still want to use the webinars to sell your stuff, right? So I think that it's okay to organically mention your offer or your services during the presentation. What I'll do is that, okay, I have my slides, and usually I try to teach three things. And maybe after the first point, I will say, and by the way, I teach this in my mini mighty course bootcamp. So I mention it organically, but I don't make it a big thing, right? And then second, I think that totally, like you said, it's totally okay to have a small pitch at the end. I said 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes is long, even. So, if you can make it shorter, good for you. But don't feel like you can't talk at all about your offer. But, show how you give them a quick win, and show that, okay, now here is what you can do with what I taught you. And then here is what you still need to accomplish to be successful, to reach your goal. And you can do this within this offer or that offer, or on one-on-one with me.
Oh, and I like that, because one thing I would also say is, like, when you go into a workshop or a live event, or however, what I would recommend, I mean, what I personally prefer as well is, like, I would say you can pitch up to 2 offers, but I would say if you pitch anything beyond, if you mention anything above 2 offers, then people are just going to feel overwhelmed. It's like, if you have multiple offers, I mean, great, but what are the offer or the 2 offers, that are most directly helpful and relevant to the specific workshop, webinar, whatever you're doing?
Mm-hmm. Or if you are undecided and you don't know what to pitch for, you can also, your call to action could be schedule a call with me, get these people into a conversation. And that's where I was going with this to wrap up this training, is that I don't try to convince people to buy during the webinar. My goal is to create the need for more and start conversations. So what I do instead, and what has been very successful for me as a small business owner with no big team and no big budget, is that I reach out personally after the webinar to every attendees, and I offer them to continue the conversation in a Zoom call, right? So they talk about where they are, what they have been trying before, what's not working, and why. And that's when I can, introduce my offers. So for me, the gold is in the follow-up after the webinar.
Oh yeah, no, the follow-up is also extremely important. And I think that even this day, we don't often talk enough about it. It's just like, host webinars, or people are just like, webinars are dead or anything. But I'm like, can we even talk about the follow-up? Because you're not just going to toss the webinar and then run, it's, I mean, the whole point of running webinar, like, however shape or form it is, it's like, who was there? Who can you have conversation with? And it's like, it's one thing to have to give them a clear call to action, but you also need to continue, to kind of do the legwork and make sure that you're also doing your part with that. And that also goes with, the discrepancy between people who may sign up and people who may show up. And one thing I really think is important is having a replay accessible. I really dislike when people are just like, it's only live, I will not share the replay. And I'm just like, wow, thanks. Because it's, even if I'm super interested in you and your offer, if you're like, you should dedicate your time to me because I demand it and I'm good enough. And I'm like, life happens. You may have work, you may have other clients call, you may have family, you may have personal emergency or whatever, or maybe just you have something else for fun plan at the same time. It doesn't make you...
They may live on the other side of the planet and be sleeping while you are talking in your webinar.
Sleep is good. I like my sleep. And I'm on the other end, just I want to put the caveat, because that's something that I'm experiencing with even just next week, is like, it's totally cool to tell people that there will be a bonus available only for people joining live. That's fine. You can always cut it from your replay, but for the love of the universe, please still share the replay. You know, the part that does not have the live bonus, with everybody that signed up. Please, out of common courtesy, please do that.
Okay, I think that you got the message across.
I know.
All right.
I feel very, very much about that topic.
I can see that, and rightly so. It's like basic courtesy, right? All right, so we've reached the end of this training on how to use webinar to sell your online course or your offers. And I don't see any comments coming in. This does not mean that we don't have any question, because I know sometimes the transfer of comments between LinkedIn and StreamYard is a little bit tricky. You know what? I'm just going to check on my phone just to make sure. I'm going to pull up. Give me a few seconds here.
Yeah, of course.
No, I don't see any comments. All right. So we'll catch people on the replay. If you have more questions, put them below this video. Natacha and myself will make sure that we respond.
Of course. Yeah. And
All right.
Thank you, because I think that webinars are not dead. It's just, how you do them, what you provide, and your pitching etiquette and your follow-up.
All right. That's a very good parting words. Thank you so much, Natacha. Goodbye.
Thank you.